I'm just going to give us a countdown and jump right into it. And so here we
Sounds good.
go in three, two, one. Dylan Cook with Fort Grove Barbecue. Welcome to the Low and Slow Barbecue Show.
Man, thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, we're so excited to have you and looking forward to connecting with you at the Carolina Barbecue Festival coming up here in just a few short weeks. But before we get to that, I want to jump right on into finding out about you and your barbecue restaurant. So first of all, Dylan, tell me, where are you from and how did you get to smoking meat low and slow?
Uh, Crazy story. I try to keep it short as I can. I was actually born and raised right here in Anderson. Worked in this building when I was in high school for a family at a kind of like a more traditional, just barbecue, fries, slaw, ribs, chicken, like nothing. It's what you would expect in a town like where we live at. Never thought I would be into barbecue like we are now. I originally had a dream of playing music. I through school and graduating, I played guitar for a lot of people across Nashville. I've been all over the place. Really thought that was going to be my career.
Yeah.
And when COVID happened, music stopped, and my wife had bought me a big green egg, and I just started doing a little bit of toying around with stuff I used to cook out here at that
Mm-hmm.
time, and stumbled across. Um, there's a video 24 hours at Franklin Barbecue on YouTube, and
Mm-hmm.
that's just still. I mean, I still watch it all the time,
Yeah.
but I was just completely blown away. People line up, and they. It's just this whole culture of barbecue like I'd never seen. So that was intriguing, which led me in that direction of wood-fired barbecue and just really Texas-inspired stuff. And my passion for that just grew with the big green egg, because at the time that's all I had. But
Uh-huh.
we after COVID got really strong, my idea with cooking was I was going to try and bootleg barbecue from my house because all restaurants were closed, and I was like, hey, this will help people out, and
Mm.
just see what reactions are. First week I posted on Facebook, not knowing it was illegal, but we sold like a ton of food, and I was like, well, this is pretty cool. So
Uh-huh.
kept progressing. Probably 6 months after that, my dad and I built my first offset. It was a 250 gallon, and man, we were like, this is the biggest smoker we've ever seen. This is crazy. Well, fast forward another year and a half, I'm still bootlegging, like working all day, cooking all night, selling on Saturdays. Um, it just kept growing. I started meeting a lot of really cool people in the area. Um, then I don't remember what year it was, but Tay Nelson, who owns Bobby's Barbecue in Fountain Inn, he had become a good buddy of mine and been really nice to me. Kind of showed me some ins and outs, and we took a trip up to Peachland, North Carolina,
Oh yeah.
about 40 miles east of Charlotte, to
Yeah,
John
John G's.
G's.
Yeah.
Boy, let me tell you, uh, I remember that day so like vivid that I'd never met Garen before that, and we went in. He gave us the royal treatment, and we had these giant plates of food. And I can remember sitting with Tay after we took pictures, of course, um, taking a bite of every single protein side. I mean, you name it.
Mm.
And I literally could not believe, like, I'd never been somewhere and had food like that literally gave me a spiritual experience. So I remember getting home that night, talking to my wife. I was like, this is, I thought we were doing all right, but like, we don't have a clue what we're doing. Like I just had, I just saw Jesus at a barbecue place. Like, that's just kind of how it felt. So then that put me in gear to really tighten up, and our food started getting better. And I ended up outgrowing the 250. My dad and I built my 1,000-gallon trailer, and I ran with it for almost 2 years, and just kept growing. And it got to a point where I had to do something, you know. and a guy that had been getting food from me, he owns a couple restaurants, asked me just straight up one day. He's like, what are you doing? Like, why are you not cooking food all the time? I was like, well, I just don't have means to jump into something outside. I worked a plant job manufacturing during this time for like 12 years.
Mm.
But he was willing to help me and take a chance. So we jumped on that last November. Um, Looked at several places. Stuff kept, wasn't panning out. I didn't know what was going to happen. And we bought 2,000 gallons from Pig Iron Patina out of Texas because I knew I needed the space. Well, we finally found this building came available, which my house is 4 minutes away, which is crazy,
Mm-hmm.
But we got all that lined up, and then I was like, man, I don't think 2 smokers are going to be enough. Like, I'd rather have extra space, if we need catering, like, because I didn't know, man, this was all new.
Yeah.
We were fixing to go from 60 miles an hour to 200 miles an hour.
Uh-huh.
And we called the guy, Kyle at Pig Iron. He built me 2 more thousands and delivered them. So I had 4,000 gallons when we opened. I got the place in April. We had a grand opening in May. And brother, like, I don't know how else to tell you, like, I never dreamed that we would be as busy as we've been since. Like, just really humbling. Like, the community has completely just crushed us, like Daniel Vaughn came with within my first 6 months.
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about that experience, but before we kind of go down that road, let's talk a little bit more about your restaurant there and the experience, and obviously that was a huge part of it. But let me get this right: you're talking about May of 2023.
Yes, sir.
And then it's taken off. And like you said, you got the Texas Monthly, Daniel Vaughn, and we'll talk about that. And then all this outpouring of support and really just like 6 or 7 quick months. What do you feel like has been the secret to that?
Man, I give a ton of praise to I had it in my head, like what I wanted it to be, what I wanted it to operate like, because John G's was like the dream in action, really.
Yeah.
And Garrett and I, since then, that's been 3, 4, I don't know how many years now, but we've become really close friends. And just, I kind of felt like people around here, so nobody understands a deli style line at a barbecue place, especially in our region. It's just not something normal. So you kind of have to give and take in some areas. But just the secret, I'd say, is just we focus on the food first. Like, sometimes it's not always the cheapest thing. A lot of people get bent up on food cost and, which I understand, business numbers, and that's something I'm learning more about every day. But I just know that if we can execute the same every time, every day, try to put the best food we know how to make out on top of when people come in to order it, just give them an experience. Like, in high school, you're dating a girl, you go to her grandma's house. There's 2 ways to go about it. You sit down and say, "Hey, Grandma, how you doing? It's good to meet you. My name's Dylan." Or you go in and you sit on your phone, and there's night and day. So
yeah,
that's kind of the same thing. People come in and we try to greet every single person. If they hadn't been here, explain it to them, and just be people's persons, I guess, or however you want to say it.
Yeah, people, right?
Right.
So you're kind of
much.
dipping into that experience a little bit. Tell me more about that. So if I'm coming down to Fork Grove Barbecue in Anderson, South Carolina, what's my experience? What will somebody experience when they walk in the door to the time they sit down?
So it normally rolls. We've kind of got it streamlined where, we don't always have a line or nothing. I mean, there's times it is definitely busier than others, but if there's a line, we try to entertain people. Like, my guys that cut on the cutting board, or if I'm up there cutting, like, we'll cut up. I'll throw a bun at somebody, or just really create a funny, like, if you like, my personality is not very serious, so that kind of coincides with the way we operate. Like, it's just a fun environment. So
yeah, a little bit of a showmanship to it.
Yeah, like people come in and we'll poke fun with them, and they'll be like, "Let me get half a pound of brisket," and you'll be like, "Half a pound? Like I could have swore you were going to be a pound and a half type of guy," and just just kind of meet new people, everybody that you serve, and
Yeah.
we get them took care of on the meats and the sides, and then
And you say it's a deli style kind of a lineup, so they're walking through kind of
yep,
cafeteria style? Yeah.
yep, and I tell them it's like Subway for barbecue. You
Right, okay.
start what kind of bread, so you'll start what kind of meats, and then pick your sides, and then they'll settle up with you at the register, and then you sit wherever you like. We don't have uh, servers and stuff. I have a couple girls that they'll hawk the dining room, try to refill drinks and do
Mhm.
things, but we don't really hold that to a standard. Um, it's just kind of a mix of self serve and somebody will help you if they get a chance.
Yeah. Well, so what do you want somebody to remember when they've left your business, they've left a meal at their Fort Grove?
I would definitely say three things. The first being the staff, being attentive, being
Mhm.
helpful, being friendly. Secondly, would obviously be the food. Like I want everybody to have that religious experience, which I don't know. I mean, you can't please everybody. I've learned that in a short amount of time, but I really do try to always put the best foot forward with everything we make. Don't cut any corners. And then third, I would hope they would go tell somebody about it because good news is good news. So
Yeah, definitely. So what do you guys feel like your specialty is?
that's funny. So I got a guy in the back, Troy. Troy.
Troy's in
Trying
the
to,
back.
yeah, I was gonna try to get him to come introduce himself. He's the master crafter in the back. Um, but so it's kind of funny. We've got like a reputation for home of the secret sausage.
Okay.
So like, hey, stick your head in here. They won't know who Troy is. This is
Hey,
Troy.
Troy, welcome to
He's
the
got
podcast.
he's got a tattoo that's got Fort Grove on it. Can't really see it. He's a lifer.
Yeah, for sure.
He's the mastermind. But
Okay. The secret sausage mastermind.
pretty much. So
Yeah.
Troy was here to the previous business, and he stayed on to work with us, and had never worked in like serious barbecue, so it was all new. But he's never worked. He's always worked in the kitchen his whole life.
Mhm.
So it was really easy to train him and show him, all the tricks and the sausage, and that turned into now like every Saturday we always have some off the wall sausage. Like you never know what it's going to be because we don't tell anybody until Saturday, and it's really fun. Like we've done like pizza links. We did a hamburger link, a breakfast link, low country boil, which was shrimp, potatoes, Old Bay.
Mm.
Last weekend we actually did a pasta salad link. This week
Wow.
is going to be a mushroom Swiss link. So
Yeah.
that's it kind of draws people there, and then we always kind of try to throw in a special every now and then. Like some days we'll do burgers. Um, we do different flavors of pork belly burn-ins. That's one of our bigger things that people really flock to is pork belly.
Yeah, that's a popular thing. So, tell me, let's talk a little bit more about those smokers, and you kind of went into the detail. It was 4,000 gallon smokers. Why do you feel like you needed such a big? And I've seen some pictures on your Facebook page. Why such a big collection of smokers? And do you always keep them filled up? And tell me about the effort that went into getting those.
Yeah, man. So like I said, I just knew going into this like the capacity that I could cook on one. And I was kind of betting on myself that, at bare minimum to cook enough brisket, pork, turkey ribs. Like we do 5-6 proteins every day,
Mm-hmm.
which some of them are different temperatures, different regimens. So
Mm-hmm.
it kind of gave us versatility for the most part, and then gave us what I thought would be more of a available space for, say, we were open for regular business, and then hey, we got 800 people we want to feed. Um, I've got space to make it happen. That was
Okay.
my thought process as well. Grand opening May the 20th was a Saturday. We sold out by 5 o'clock, and the following week we sold out at 3:30. The following week we sold out at 4 o'clock. So it was like,
Wow.
now we were trying to figure out, like, good Lord, like, how are we going to cook enough?
Uh-huh.
So like it turned into, like, thank goodness we ordered that many, because literally without it, it would have been, I'd have been sleeping here, which I do anyway sometimes. But
Uh-huh.
it was surprising. And then once we figured out more things and figured out different ways, and we still, from Wednesday, like today, we only ran 2 for tomorrow. But tomorrow morning, we'll have 4 smokers running. We'll have sausage on one, chicken ribs on the other, all brisket on one, and then all pork and turkey and pork belly on the other.
Okay. What kind of wood are you using? Is it the same in all of them, or you mix it up depending on the meat?
So I did have an awesome supply of post oak
Mm-hmm.
that we were rolling with for almost a year, which is like gold around here because it's
Yeah.
not native to our region. So,
That's true Texas stuff. You got to go to
yeah.
Texas to get it, right?
So the guys that I've been getting wood with since day one, they had a lot of it, and unfortunately I had burnt through it, and they don't, it's just not very common, obviously. So
Mm-hmm.
we actually had we switched over to hickory. I don't remember, it hadn't been too long ago, but I mean, hickory's abundant, and it's pretty efficient with the way we cook because it burns hotter. And those smokers actually have a patented insulated bottom, which no other offset on the market has. So once they heat up, they sustain a lot of heat really well, especially when it's cold.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's all hickory right now.
Okay. Well, I saw some pictures there on your Instagram, and I know you've got a lot of stuff on your Facebook at Fort Grove BBQ. How early are you getting up to start the smokers every day?
3 a.m.
And is that you every day? You showing up at 3 a.m. to fill the mouth with wood and fire?
It is right now. We've had a couple guys do it, and just didn't pan out. So I mean, it's not easy work. It's
Yeah.
you kind of have to be a little crazy, to be honest. But
I understand. Well, you talked about a lot of great things there that you've got on the menu, the secret sausage and the burn-ins. What do you feel like is the fan favorite that's on the menu? What do people order the most?
brisket is really close to number one. Secondly would be the burn ends, and then I mean it's really all pretty close as far as like core proteins go.
Mm-hmm.
It really depends on the day. Like sometimes we'll have a heavy day on ribs, and then the next day, like last Saturday, we sold out a brisket at 3 o'clock. Like I was like, well, we got 5 hours and no brisket, and then we ended up running out at 5 this weekend. So just
Well, there's worse positions to be in, right?
yeah.
Than having a sellout.
I still hate it too, though, man, because it's a double-edged sword. Like
Yeah.
people get babysitters and they plan to come eat with us, and they pull up and the lights are off and the sold out sign's up, and they're like, what am I going to do now? But
That's a bummer.
yeah, unfortunately, it's the nature of the beast sometimes.
It is for sure. Well, let me talk a little bit about the Carolina Barbecue Festival and how you got involved. And of course, that's coming April 5th and 6th, and it's going to be at Victoria Yards in Charlotte. And everybody listening out there can go online and order tickets, get a discount using our code LOWSLOW-BBQ. But I want to know, how did Dylan and how did Fort Grove get hooked up with the Carolina Barbecue Festival this year?
So last year, Garen was down a guy, and he was like, man, I could use some help. And I was like, well, heck, we get done Saturday. I can, Charlotte's a couple hours. I said, well, we'll drive up and I'll help you out Sunday. So we did. And it was a good time, and got everything knocked out. So fast forward to this past September, we had Euphoria Greenville. And we got set up, and directly to my right was good old Lou Don from Sweet Lou's.
Yeah.
And we had a good time and connected pretty well. I mean, we knew each other, through the barbecue community, but he reached out to me, I don't know, it was months back, about, hey, man, let's get you on Carolina Barbecue Festival. And I was like, shoot, yeah. He's like, of course you're going to do pork belly. Like, didn't give me an option there. That's my thing.
Okay. So we know it's on the menu. It's going to be pork belly from Fort Grove.
Yeah, probably, most likely.
Okay,
But
cool. Well, so, the Carolina Barbecue Festival, it supports a few charities, Barbecue for Cause mission, and among those is the Operation Barbecue Relief. What does it mean to you to support those charities, and in particular, one that kind of helps out your brothers in the barbecue business when maybe they need a hand up?
yeah, um, man, it's just that's what it's all about, really. It's people that need a helping hand. Like barbecue's not easy. I don't care which way you go about it. Um, Charity part, that's it's great. I got into this business for those reasons, like people that love to eat good food and have a good time around it. It's just that's what it's all about.
Yeah, well, like you said, it's hard. It takes a special person, a lot of heat, a lot of fire, a lot of work to get it done every day. Tell me, are you participating in other festivals since you've kind of gotten things up and going? You mentioned the one in Greenville.
Oh yeah, we this year's going to be a doozy. So we got Charleston Wine and Food coming up. It's in March,
Uh-huh.
and then it'll be Carolina Barbecue Festival. Um, then I think the weekend after Carolina Barbecue Festival, we've got Southern Roots and Travelers Rest, which is pretty close to here.
Mm-hmm.
Then we settled down. Jake Wood from Lawrence Barbecue put me on something with him. I got a date. I'm not sure what it is, but that's in May. And we should be set until about September for Euphoria again. And then I'm hoping to make it down to Firebox on the Bluff with the guys from Southern Soul, Griffin Buffkin, Mark Chan, all them guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're great. They're hilarious.
Oh, that sounds like a full calendar, and you're in Anderson, and you've got these big 1,000-gallon smokers. Tell me about the preparation that goes into making a trip to one of these festivals. Now, Greenville's a little bit closer to Anderson, but Charlotte's kind of a haul, and Charleston's a pretty good drive too. So, what all goes into prepping, and what all do you take with you to show up at these festivals?
We got it pretty streamlined as far as how to go about it. Our food service, we are a almost sole proprietor with U.S. Foods. Um, they help us out a lot with what we're doing for festivals,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just I keep it simple. I try not to do nothing too crazy, and we'll pack it up, ice it down, whatever we got to do, and make the trip. And luckily, knock on wood, 90% of the places that we're going, I know enough barbecue fam that I can, hey man, let me borrow your refrigerator. Hey man, let me borrow your cutting table, or
Yeah.
if we need to do something prep wise. But it's about going and having fun. And like Charleston Wine and Food last year, man, we fed people from California,
Yeah.
Oregon. I mean, it was like all walks of life at that place, and it's really a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's is a big part of it, getting your name out there with a larger audience. But then, we hear that from so many pitmasters like Garen and like the folks at Lawrence Barbecue. It's all about the community. You guys kind of have a special camaraderie amongst one another. So, it's work a lot of the time, but it's got to be a little bit of fun too, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So now I want to talk a little bit about your secret here. And you we don't necessarily have a secret recipe that our pit masters often share with us, but you've kind of got a special way about doing things. So talk to me about how you guys prepare your ribs, how you turn them over, how you make sure that they're Fort Grove barbecue just right.
So we get a lot of good compliments about our pork ribs,
Hmm.
and we keep it real simple seasoning, but we cook them a little hotter. But the biggest thing that a lot of people I don't think understand or know, like you'll meet a lot of backyard guys that ask about the membrane on the back.
Oh yeah.
We cook pork spare ribs. I don't do baby backs, but um, they get all bent out of shape. They're like, oh man, that thing's chewy, or you can't cook good ribs with that on there. Well, I beg to differ. So the trick
Oh.
is, I actually learned it originally from Tay from Bobby's Barbecue, and he came help me cook one time, and he's like, try one of these ribs like the way I do mine. If you don't like it, I'll buy it. So after they get good color, the meat starts to draw back a little bit. We actually flip from meat side up to meat side down on the offset.
Okay.
So all that airflow and that heat's coming across the membrane.
Hmm.
Well, what'll happen is the fat actually kind of starts to render, and it'll pool across the bones and the membrane in the back. Well, you let it keep cooking, let that heat keep drawing. It almost confits that membrane,
Mm.
and it'll crisp it up, almost in a sense of like frying a donut. So
Well,
once it gets to that point, then we'll glaze it with our rib glaze. Let that tack really nice. Flip them back over, glaze the top, let that tack on, and then we'll pull them off when they're nice and tender. But I have yet to have a soul say anything about a membrane, like,
boy.
which saves you so much time with guys that pull
Yeah.
napkins and forks and all the tricks to pull them off. So
Yeah, so
yeah,
that silver skin, the membrane, again, you said it, it's hard to get it off there. I've got my vice grips and I'm trying to
yeah.
rip it off of
Your
there.
teeth. No,
Yeah,
I'm just
I
kidding.
wouldn't get my teeth on the raw, but pliers or something like that. I am in the toolbox trying to get that stuff out. But what you're telling me is you can leave it on just as long as you're cooking it right and flipping it and let it get good and hot and cook that fat down till it really pulls back. It's going to be okay.
Yep.
Yeah,
I,
okay.
I would I would I would definitely encourage anybody to give it a shot.
Well, I'm going to do that on the next batch of ribs I do. That's a great secret to share with our at-home audience, and I want to take it a little bit deeper into secret time and find out from Dylan, kind of probe down inside Dylan, and tell me, what do you enjoy most about being a pit master and operating a barbecue business, or does the business and the pit mastering, do they go together in enjoyment?
Um, I don't know, man. I really don't ever call myself a pit master either, just because I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just watching fire and wood burn and
Hmm.
till meat gets nice and tender. But I would say you just I don't even know, man. Like it's something you just got to have or you don't. Like I've had some guys that come through and work for a little while. They seem really eager to do it. They love it, but when they really have to put the rubber to the road, it's just kind of like, man, this is work. This is tough. But I don't ever see it like that. Like this isn't work to me. I have fun in here every day. Like my guys, we cut up. It's just the business side. I'm not so good at. I'm trying to get better and learn and be
Hmm.
smart and just. But my heart's in cooking and talking to people and just having a big old time.
Yeah, well, there's nothing wrong with that. So let's get into that talk with Daniel Vaughn. And like I say, you got a big Texas spotlight from him in Texas Monthly. Tell me about that experience and what all was involved with him coming by. And again, you so early in the barbecue adventure at Fort Grove, you got this huge spotlight, a well-known person in barbecue, the barbecue snob, as he calls himself. What
Yeah.
was all that like?
So man, like another fangirl moment. I remember when Garen got his first visit from Snob,
Hmm.
and it was like the craziest thing. Like I can remember where I was at, what I was doing when he called me, and we just nerded out. I was like, man, this is it. This is Super Bowl
Yeah,
barbecue.
yeah, for sure.
And fast forward to us, we're operating, rolling along, whatever. And a couple days before, my boy Robbie in Columbia at City Limits, we were chatting and we were like, man, like Snob's in the area, like he might pop by. And I'm like, yeah, I said, I don't know. There ain't nothing around me. I'm like kind of out here by myself. It's not really a city or metropolitan area or nothing. And so we're following him on his Instagram trail. He's taking pictures everywhere he goes.
Sure.
And then that I remember that morning. It was Saturday morning. I saw he was at Robbie's, and I was like, "Oh snap!" Like
Uh-huh.
he had. I think he had hit Fox Brothers in Atlanta,
Okay.
and then the next post I saw, he was actually at Bobby's in Lewis, and they're both in Greenville, which is about 35 minutes north of me.
Hmm.
So I thought, well, heck, maybe he passed on by, whatever. Then Saturday he was in Columbia, so that's when I was kind of really just like, okay, well, maybe next time. I'm happy for Robbie. This is going to be cool, whatever.
Yeah.
So that morning, uh, my other buddy from Midland, Rod Scott, he does Scott's A1 barbecue. Really good buddy of mine. We talk all the time. He's helped me with some stuff through the years, and uh, he texted me. He's like, "You'll never guess who I'm standing next to in line," and I'm like, "Shut up!" Like, no, you're not. And long story short, they ended up getting talking to each other, and they sat down and ate together at Robbie's. And Rod actually asked him, he's like, "Man, you didn't stop at Fort Grove coming up this way or coming this way." He's like, "I thought they were only open on Saturdays." And Rod's like, "Nah, man, he's open 3 days a week." And I messaged Daniel Vaughn and was like, "Hey, man, check you next time.
Yeah.
Just if you stop by, it'd be cool. Uh, well, the next thing I know, Daniel Vaughn sent me a message on Instagram back and says, "I'll be there in 2 hours. Save me brisket, ribs, turkey, sausage, and yada yada yada." And I was
Yeah.
like I didn't know what to do. I was like, "Oh boy!" Like, I was psyched out of my mind.
Well, at least he gave you a warning to come and save something for him, right?
I know it. Like, and the crazy thing is, like, he's notorious about going places and people don't recognize him. He slides in, slides out,
Mm-hmm.
don't talk to anybody. Which, it is what it is. I'm thankful either way. But I really had that realization too. I'm like, I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. I'm going to be here when he walks in. I'll cut him what he asks for, and like I want him to get the real deal. So
Yeah.
I can remember standing there, and he walked in, and I was almost shaking. I was like, "Man, this is wild."
Yeah.
And I cut him a tray, and the brisket I was not happy with. Um, but like I said, I didn't want to sugarcoat anything. I really wanted him to base it off flavors. And he got a decent tray, sat down, and I went out and talked to him and had a really cool conversation. He he told me that he actually stayed in Anderson at a hotel the night before he drove to Columbia. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
dang, man, like, you're like right here. That saved you a trip. But
Yeah.
uh, he really gave us all good compliments on just about everything. He said the rib glaze that we use was a little sweet, which it is. Um, and like I said, I was just stoked that he was even here. Like I had a picture with Daniel Vaughn. Like that's it for me. Like I was burnt the rest of the day. So we go out to the smokehouse and we talked a little bit more, and he, chatted about some stuff. He's like, "Well, I got to get on back down. I'm going to Charleston." I was like, "All right, man, I really appreciate it." And the last thing he told me, he's like, I'll reach out to you in a week or so. He said, "People need to know about this place. I'm going to do an article on you." And I was like, then I was really burnt. Like, I was like, "We can
Yeah.
just close right now, go home. I don't care about nothing else today."
It's not going to get any better.
Nah, man. So,
Yeah, so and he's got you in a couple of different things I've seen from looking out on Texas Monthly, and one of those is sort of the best Texas barbecue in Georgia and South Carolina. That's a huge spotlight. What kind of attention, or how do you feel like that attention's affected your business, or has it affected it since then?
man, so right after that, we had several people that were actually like Texas natives that actually live in our area
Hmm.
come by and say, "Man, I saw you on Texas Monthly, and that's got to mean something." And they love the food, and
Yeah,
uh, it's not like being in the state of Texas making top 50 where the next day you got 500 people waiting to come in the door.
right.
Um, but I would say that second, the one we just got in December for best trays, Texas style trays outside of Texas.
Hmm.
I just the folks that do our plaques and stuff like that. I got that one in, and I took a picture and posted it. Just telling everybody how thankful we really are for being so far in this in such a short amount of time. Well, that post like went nuts, and it like broke the internet basically. uh, and I really think that contributed to this past weekend of us selling out at 5 o'clock, because it's the third week of January. Most people in our area tell you that this is tough times. You got to be smart. It's not going to
Yeah.
be as busy, but brother, we hadn't missed a lick. Like, it's been just as busy as any other week. So
Yeah, well, that's great. Fantastic. So let me ask you here, you're in South Carolina, but in the Carolinas, why are you making Texas barbecue?
that it all stems back to just what I really got infatuated with, and
Yeah.
like just the whole vibe and like the way it goes. Like
Hmm.
I'm just that type of person. I get into something, and I learn it. I learn it the best way I can and stick to it. And Texas barbecue was something that, one, I loved that peppery flavor right off the
Yeah.
bat. And then when I really kind of started learning more about the cooking side and the history of it, and just the whole culture, it was just what I loved. And once I let people try it and got that response that people really were like, "Wow," and there's nobody else around doing it, I was like, "Well,
Hmm.
this is kind of what I want to do."
Yeah, that's a big part of it. Nobody else around's doing it. Obviously, you can go to Peachland, and now there's some more people kind of getting on that train, but you're kind of one of a kind in South Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, we're my buddy in Charleston, Hector Garate. He runs Palmyra Barbecue.
Hmm.
He'll tell you, he's like, man, he gets all tied up, and he'll say, like, he's like, we're a part of an era, which is, I kind of feel is true. Like, he's really bridged a gap from Texas to South Carolina lately,
Hmm.
and this is just, it's kind of like history happening. There never will be another first Texas barbecue place in Anderson because we got that title. Like,
Yeah.
it's crazy to think about like that, but at the end of the day, we just in it to make people smile and pump out good barbecue.
Yeah. So, what do you feel like is the biggest lesson that you've learned all along this way?
You don't know people like you think you know people.
Oh, how so?
It's just wild, man. Like, you know, people support you, or say they do, and then you start making waves, and they start putting buoys out in the water. Like, it's just
Gotcha.
like, it's crazy. Um, but I've also learned that you can't let the internet decide what kind of day you had.
Hmm.
That's something pretty strong. Like,
Yeah.
these internet warriors that they come in and we don't have French fries, and they leave us a 1-star review for something stupid like that. Hey, sorry, brother. I just is what it is.
You can't let that get you down. There's so much of
No.
that vitriol and hate out there. You
Oh
do
man,
what you got to do without worrying about anybody else out there.
that's it.
Yeah, that's a good lesson to learn for sure. What do you feel like the best thing you've ever made is?
Best thing I've ever made. Shoot, man. I don't know. I don't. I feel like we always try to keep pushing the envelope, making
Uh-huh.
something good. Uh, and I don't know.
Those
That's
secret
hard.
sausages sound pretty good.
They're up there. We always try to make them as unique as we can.
Uh-huh.
Uh, Shoot, man, I don't know. It's hard to say, really.
That's all right. Well, tell me about this. Who do you turn to when you need barbecue advice? You mentioned Garen at John
Yeah,
G's.
most of the
Anybody
time.
in particular?
Most of the time, Garen.
Yeah.
Garen, my buddy Robbie, City
Hmm.
Limits. Um, that's really about it. We kind of keep it between us three most of the time.
That's some good company to keep. So, and you're already kind of laying the groundwork there. But what is your favorite barbecue restaurant?
Don't tell Robbie, but John G's is my favorite.
Okay. Hey, nothing
I
wrong
try
with that.
I try to make it up there uh, at least once a year, especially now we're so busy. But yeah, man, I swear it gets better every time I go. And the kolaches they do now, oh my gosh, is out of this world.
Yeah, good stuff. I've been hearing a lot about that. I got to make the trip myself. So tell me, we're gonna take it into the low and slow showdown here and kind of wrap up our podcast today, but with some quick hitters. So get ready for that. We're gonna jump into it. And first of all, I guess tell me what if you're cooking it up, do you want gas, charcoal, pellets, or wood?
Wood's the only way. You can't make barbecue without wood.
And if you had your choice, what's the wood you want to use?
Oak or hickory, pecan if it was readily available. But I
Yeah,
would bet most people wouldn't be able to tell the difference.
really? So what is it about the oak and specifically the post oak that maybe makes it stand out for you?
So post oak has this kind of just sweeter, almost cake sort of aroma that'll come out of it, and the
Hmm.
way the coals burn down, they stay pretty chunky. So as long as you don't get in there and chop around on your fire, like it'll just build a lot of heat and stay residual. Hickory kind of likes to toenail where it makes smaller coals, but it burns hotter, so
Hmm.
it's kind of a give and take there. But
Yeah, and the pecan's a little smoother than everything, I
oh
think.
yeah, I love the smell of pecan. Like that's just probably my favorite.
Yeah, definitely. That's cool. So pork, beef, chicken, or something else?
I'm a beef guy, man. I mean, brisket's got my heart. I spend a lot of time with it, so she's my
Beef it
girlfriend, I
is.
guess.
So, what is the best state in these United States for barbecue?
I
There
don't
are no
know,
wrong
man.
answers.
I can't put my finger on that one. There's a lot of good barbecue all the way across. I'd
Come on, you got to
yeah.
pick one.
Uh shoot, man. I mean, I've been eating. I don't know. I can't. That's lightning might strike me if I say something wrong.
Don't forget, we're in the Low and Slow Barbecue Show in North Carolina, so
North
we're going to
Carolina.
go ahead and let that be your default answer today.
That's fine.
And with that, what is your favorite Carolina barbecue style? Eastern, Western, Lexington, or that South Carolina mustard stuff?
Man, I have a special place in my heart for all of it. But I will
Yeah,
say, again, Garen did a direct heat shoulder with the chop crackling, that good old vinegar Texas Pete kind of spicy finishing sauce
yeah.
with like red slaw. That's just whew,
Can't beat that. My mouth's
no,
watering just thinking about
I'm
it.
telling
Eastern
you,
it
like,
is. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's really special.
Good. So, do you want to have sauce? Is it better with or without?
Uh, Sauce. I'm honestly like for pork, I am a sauce guy. Other meats like brisket, I'd smack somebody if I seen them put sauce on it. But
Good, good.
it's just to each his own, I guess. But
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. So, but this is important. Last one. Is barbecue a verb or a noun?
I would definitely say it is a verb.
And that, my friends, is the lowdown from the pitmaster at Fork Grove Barbecue, Dylan Cooke. Dylan, thanks so much for being with us on the Low and Slow Barbecue Show.
Thank y'all, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely.